So, today we're going to dive into a conflict that's way more than just superheroes punching villains. This is really a metaphysical drama, a battle for the very soul of humanity. We're not talking about a war of fists. This is a war of ideas, where the future of reality itself is on the line.
And wow, that quote just sets the perfect tone, doesn't it? It's so cynical, so cosmic. It introduces us to one of the main architects of this whole mess, Mephistopheles, this ancient tempter, who looks at us not as something to save, but as this fascinating little puzzle to be taken apart.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to look at three key ideological pillars that form the bedrock of this apocalypse. Then, we'll see how they get forged together to create a threat that's unlike anything else.
At its heart, this entire story is like a complex machine built from three very different parts. You've got a classic demonic pact for a single soul, a really radical and dangerous philosophy about power, and this ancient mystical view of the universe. And these aren't just for flavor, they are the literal gears of an apocalyptic engine.
Okay, so let's start with that first pillar, the timeless, absolutely terrifying story of making a deal with the devil. This is the piece that takes the whole thing from a physical fight and turns it into a deep moral crisis.
And this Faustian archetype is so important because it changes the entire nature of the conflict. Suddenly, the question isn't who's going to win, it's who's going to be damned. The prize isn't a city or a country, it's an eternal soul. And, that raises the stakes just a little bit.
It all kicks off with a wager, a literal prologue in heaven. You have the Lord saying something like, "A good man, even in his darkest moments, knows the right path." But Mephistopheles just laughs it off and says, "What'll you bet? I can turn him. You will lose him yet." And just like that, the bet is on, and all of humanity is caught in the middle.
So who is this Mephistopheles really? Well, he's not just some mindless demon. The story defines him as the spirit that denies. He's a highly intelligent, philosophical opponent whose entire purpose is to stop spiritual growth. But here's the crazy paradox. In the original stories, his constant tempting is what actually keeps humanity sharp, pushing us to be better so we don't fall for his tricks.
And this is where things get really fascinating. You've got a turf war between two completely different flavors of evil. Darkseid is all about absolute order. He wants you to kneel. For him, choice is just a messy variable. But Mephistopheles, he's an artist. He doesn't want blind obedience. He wants desire. He thinks a soul that looks damnation in the face and chooses it willingly, now that is a masterpiece.
Okay, but a deal with the devil is one thing. How do you scale that intimate artistic temptation up to a global apocalypse? Well, for that, an ancient demon needs a modern playbook. And this brings us to pillar number 2, where that ancient evil gets a major software update, using a destructive philosophy as its new operating system.
This is where the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche gets hijacked, big time. The idea of the Übermensch, or the Overman, is twisted from a personal journey of self-improvement into a demonic mission to cull the entire human race. The goal isn't to rule the world, it's to burn it all down and see what kind of stronger, meaner thing crawls out of the ashes. And this is just a brilliant, twisted move. It takes the very idea of heroism and flips it into a weakness. In this new war of ideas, the Justice League are painted as the last men, basically cosmic babysitters who keep humanity weak, comfortable, and stagnant, preventing us from ever reaching our true potential through real struggle.
I mean, listen to this quote. This is the heart of the whole philosophical attack. It says that protecting the weak isn't a virtue, it's a slave morality. Mercy isn't noble, it actually cripples our growth. The very concept of being a superhero is reframed as an obstacle to evolution. It's a devastating argument.
All right, let's move on to our third and final pillar. This one's a bit more abstract because it's about the cosmic stage itself. This is where we zoom way out and look at the fundamental nature of reality in this story.
So, to really get what's happening on this grand scale, we need a quick primer on an ancient idea called Gnosticism. The core concept is that our material world, everything you can see and touch, is actually a prison. It was built by a flawed, lesser god. You can think of it like a spiritual version of the Matrix. The physical world is an illusion, and the soul's ultimate goal is to find the secret knowledge, the gnosis, that lets you break free.
And here's the crucial twist. This story takes that entire Gnostic idea and turns it completely inside out. The goal isn't to escape the prison anymore. The goal is to conquer the prison, to climb its walls, and to become its new, terrifying warden.
It's a cosmology built on domination, not liberation.
And this right here, the Codex of the Five Worlds, is basically the battle map for this whole cosmic war. It reveals this hidden, violent, evolutionary ladder, a secret history of cosmic conflict. And the ultimate prize is to trigger the creation of a brutal, totalitarian fifth world right on top of the ruins of the old one.
Okay, so we've got the demonic pact, the weaponized philosophy, and this warped cosmic map. Now for the final part, seeing how they all get welded together into one single, horrifying new reality. So, that's the big question, right? How do these three wildly different ideas, a deal with the devil, 19th century philosophy, and ancient mysticism, actually combine to become one coherent threat?
And this is the answer. They merge to create a brand new entity, the God Machine, Amazoth. The Faustian Pact gives it the pilot, that cynical, demonic intelligence. The weaponized philosophy gives it the mission, a mandate for forced evolution, and a techno-organic plague provides the vessel. It's a self-evolving supercomputer that literally has the ego of a devil and the mission of a mad philosopher.
And you can immediately see how devastating this is. Amazoth's attack isn't an invasion, it's a temptation on a planetary scale. It doesn't force you to submit, it offers you godhood. People willingly accept the virus, making their own Faustian bargain. They get networked into this hive mind and then use the hero's own powers against them, proving that mercy really is a weakness.
But just when you think you've grasped the sheer scale of this thing, they hit you with the final, absolutely mind-bending twist. This entire apocalypse, this whole war for the soul of the Earth, it was never the main event. It was just the trigger. It was just the key turning in the ignition of a much, much larger engine.
It turns out the true prize was never Earth. The planet was just the incubator. The whole conflict with Amazoth was engineered to activate a dormant, multiversal system called the Twilight Machine. The ultimate fight isn't for humanity, it's for who gets to write the source code for the next version of reality.
And what's so cool is you can see this deliberate escalation baked right into the story's structure. It builds perfectly, starting with a single, quiet wager for one man's soul, then it explodes into a global crisis, and finally, it culminates in the birth of an entirely new cosmic order, the Fifth World. And that's where it leaves us. The old rules are gone, the old gods are dead. A terrifying new reality has been forged from a demonic bargain, a corrupted philosophy, and a warped vision of the cosmos. And the question that's left isn't about how to win the old war, but how anyone can possibly survive in this new world.